Welcome to the live stream today. This is Celia Faye Meisel, and we are talking all about trust being an avenue for sales growth. And this live stream is for you if you are someone who you get stressed out, you like to be in control, you want everything to get done on your terms, in your timeline, the way that you want it. You've got that type A personality. And while that personality and that way of doing things has served you to get you where you are, you also know that this is a hindrance as well because it interferes with your relationships. You're always sort of leading with this need to like be in control and have it all figured out. And not only with your relationships with other people, but also just your relationship and your connection with yourself and your business. Now, this comes up so much whenever there's a time in the business where things aren't going to plan and what you mapped out and what you hoped you would have all predicted and figured out ends up not going that way. Or when you see a pattern or a trend coming up that you think is unfavorable inside of your business. For example, my last live stream, I talked about the revenue roller coaster and how business owners are often, running away from the lows to chase the highs, and it creates this ongoing cycle. And so in this case today, with this concept of trust and it being an avenue for sales growth, I'm going to dive in and show you how you are really approaching things inside of your business right now from a space of lack of trust, and what that is doing, what that's creating for you and perpetuating cycles inside of your business, and how that you can step over into a space of trust and really what that means, what it looks like and doesn't look like, so that you can start to make changes in your business. Because I'm going to tell you that if you can tap into this and you can start to tap into trust, true trust, which is a space, it's a way of being, it's not a thought process. When you can tap into it, things are going to start to shift for you really, really quickly. And the biggest way is that you actually make space and create capacity in your life. Now, the people that I work with are very intelligent, highly self-aware, success-minded men and women that have multiple 6 to 7 figure businesses, and they're scaling with the sales team. And so the bigger that your business gets, the more skin in the game you have, the more you invest, the more pressure that can create for an entrepreneur, the more mouths that you have to feed in your company, the more responsibilities you have. And so what can happen is as you grow and grow and grow, you can become more and more tightly wound up and actually disconnected from your business rather than leaning into it, trusting everyone in your life, trusting the process. And really, that can lead you to be overworking all the time, constantly investing in new things, never really feeling like you get ahead. Even when you have a great income month, like nothing ever seems like it's enough. You're always striving for the next goal, the next goal, the next goal, going for the next program, going for the next hire. And so there's this inability to really like be present to what is happening now and fully experience what is happening now. And the thing is that that's actually how you receive and bring in clients, is through, number one, having capacity to receive and to have clients. And then number two is it happens in the moment. And so a lot of times you're thinking, well, it's this future date that the money's going to come, and it's this future date that XYZ is going to happen. But the truth is that in the present is where you make that shift in order for that thing to come to you in the future, but it really happens right now. So when you are not trusting and you are trusting, I want to really break it down to like your mind and how your mind works. So there's this part of all of us, and especially the kind of the type A control freak type people, where there's this part of you that like needs to have it all figured out and needs to judge every little situation as, okay, this is going my way, this is not going my way. And this will show up on sales calls where you're with a prospect and you're having a conversation and You're listening to everything that they're saying, and but you're really listening to your own thoughts, and you're judging. Oh no, they're not doing this right now. They should be saying this. Oh no, I should have said this. What's going on? Blah, 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 blah. And your mind is just going and going and going. And really what is happening is you're trying to manipulate and control the situation, because you have your script and you have all your sales training and you have all your ways that you think it's supposed to go. And what's not happening is you actually being present as a human being who has created a space for this other person to share their challenges and what's going on in their lives. And therefore, they're feeling disconnected and feeling unsafe and unwelcome to open up, because you've got this whole inner dialogue going on in your mind. And so what does that say about your relationship with trust? Well, probably means that you're coming onto these sales calls thinking, well, I don't believe in my ability to really like lead a great sales call. I don't believe in my prospect that they can make their own decisions. Like, I have to really like, push them and prod them to get to that decision. And so it has to be just all kind of like orchestrated and, forced or manipulated to get there. And you may not think manipulated, I'm using that word, but there's this lack of trust in yourself and probably a lack of trust in your prospect. Okay. So then that's holding you back in the sales conversation and the sales process overall, because like you're not fully connected and tapped into like what all is available. And so when you start to trust and you let go of this need to control and have it all figured out and being a certain way, that it takes up a lot of space in your life, and it takes up a lot of space in your head that disconnects you from your present state, the present circumstances and the now moment. And so you actually kind of grow further and further and further away from that thing that you think that you want, because you create more and more of a disconnect and more of a divide, and you create less capacity for people to really come to you and connect with you and, be present with you, and for you to be present with them, whether that's your team or your prospects. And this is going to definitely be a part of your family life. You're at dinner, you can't really be present with your partner because you're drifting off thinking about your business. You can't really listen to them because you're thinking about all these things that need to be done. You're probably overworking. So this thought pattern and this way of doing things is just constant, like just constantly running through your head and controlling you. It's like a mental program. And the way to move beyond it is not through doing mindset work. So like I said, we have this part of our brain, as part of our being, that is like this, all of the ways that I just explained. Okay. But then and that's the part of us that like wants something tangible, wants to like grasp onto something or to have something tangible. But then we have this other part of us that has this softness and that's more flowing. And that's the part of us that has the trust. Okay. And that knows like there's always going to be open loops, and the future is like something that we can think about, but it's not here yet. All we have is now. And so when we're really able to like tap into that, like our present moment and our present reality and what is available to us now, it requires us to wake up and connect in with what I'm calling that like soft part of us, which is connected to that knowing and that infinite knowing, and the infinite that is like, there's just a lot that is to be undetermined. And I can do my best with the vehicle of what I've been given and how I'm showing up every day. But ultimately, the unfolding of life and the unfolding of events is what's going to present itself. And so if I'm constantly living in this space of like needing to be in control and needing to have it all figured out and judging every little thing, then I'm disconnected from this truth of being able to receive and being able to really have what it is that I know that I can have. And it's really funny because like we have this part of us, these kind of like this two sides, this kind of controlling and then the soft flowing. And I'm not going to put terminology on it because I don't believe in all of the terminology for it. It's just really an essence about us. So your controlling mind is going to come in and say, well, okay, Celia says trust. So I'm going to trust more. So how am I going to trust more? Well, I'm going to trust more. I'm going to think more positive thoughts. And then when I get on the sales call, I'm going to really, really listen to the people. And when when I do this, I'm going to do this, right? So then you're back into that polarity of I'm not trusting. So now I'm going to trust. And so what I want to show you is that trust is not a mental state. It's not something that you think about. It's not something that you project or you do. Okay, true trust is a state of being, of openness, of flow, of receiving. And so what is going to happen is that part of us that likes to manipulate, likes to be in control, likes to have all that, it's going to come in. It's a part of who we are. But we can tap into that part of us that is in trust, that is trust. We could just say, like, it is us. It's a part of us. It's not something that we have to, like, a state that we have to strive to achieve or something that we have to think about creating. It's actually who we are, and it's built into us. And so when you discover, like, it's not a state that I have to create or do or act out, it's actually just more natural for me to be in this state of trust. And when I feel the distrust coming in and that need to control, then I can take a step back and realize that's what I'm doing and just lean back into trust again. And so that requires you to get present, for you to wake up, to come into touch with the now moment, so that you can enjoy and be one with all that's available to you now. So those are kind of like the sides of your personality. And when you understand that, like, that manipulative space isn't going to create what you want, you can lean back. And what happens is it creates so much more ease. And so here's where I'm calling it this avenue for sales growth, because now you're really able to tap into the ideas and the resources and the creativity and the people and the connections and the opportunities that are all around you, just constantly surrounding you. And so you, in trust, you're out of that mental state of, like, needing to control everything. And that's going to mean, like, forgetting things that coaches have taught you, and forgetting, like, all of the rules of marketing and all of the rules of how you have to be. So this is what I have to say. Like, we are human beings, and so we're born, right? And we come into this body, into this world, and we learn how to walk and talk from from being around others, and we have our families and adults, and then we have our life path, and that really shapes us. And so our life path and our experience really shapes us and kind of, like, creates the avenue of how we express ourselves. And so in all of us, we have these innate gifts, and we have, parts of us that just, like, naturally unfold, and no matter what the external circumstance is. And then we have our conditioning that we have experienced, that we've kind of taken on through our mind to manipulate and to assign stories about who we are and what we're capable of. And so I say all that because it's not just like, oh, I'm going to trust and just forget it all. Like, we're here on this journey together, and we have been shaped into who we are now. However, there is always that softness and that infinite and that connected part of us, that connected to the part of us that, like, doesn't have all the loops closed and doesn't have all the answers and doesn't have it all figured out. Like, that's a part of us. And so our society and our world, like, conditions us to be in a state of distrust, to not trust the system, and not trust this and not trust that, and not trust our families and not trust. And so then we have this kind of constant, industry and whole, like, infrastructure that's built around, like, us not being in trust. And so when we step into trust, does that mean that business stops and we stop making sales and we just go, like, live in a spiritual community and we disown money? Heck no, that's not what it's about. But it is about coming into a space that's soft, that's enjoyable, that's peaceful, that's calm, and that can create. And so I think that a lot of the messaging sometimes around, being in trust and being in more flow states is people get disconnected because they only know like all or nothing. And this isn't an all or nothing. This is a total like creation, but it requires that you let go of what you think needs to happen, the how and what you think needs to unfold in order for you to like achieve the result that you think that you want, because there's often like usually something that's way better, way more aligned, way more enjoyable, fun. And if you find yourself kind of like beating your head up against a wall right now, especially around your sales and your growth and your scaling and your team and all these things and your ads and everything that you're doing, because you're just like so overrun by your thinking and this like that part of you that needs to be in control, I'm telling you that this space over here of trust is going to open up so much for you. And it's like the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. If you can just tap into it, like so much flows into you. And it's just a much more easy way to create. And so that's why in my program, the first step is, more sales with ease, where we're looking at sales and marketing gaps. And we look at sales and marketing gaps from a strategic approach and perspective, but also what are you doing as the business owner in your decision making and in your communication and how you're running your team and who you're hiring to keep those sales and marketing gaps in place, because those sales and marketing gaps where deals and opportunities are falling through the cracks, they are, they're missed opportunities for you and your clients. And so we want to smooth that over and take roadblocks and turn them into free-flowing highways where the clients and the money can flow into you. But it may not be the way that you predicted it would be. It may not look exactly like, and it's probably going to be better because your mental manipulation of what you're trying to do isn't creating that result that you want. Otherwise, you wouldn't be listening to this live stream. So if you want to dive in more with me, you can book a call with me at moremethod.info. As you can tell, I work with my clients on a consciousness level and on a strategic and tactical business level as well, because this truly is the pathway to create those sustainable results. I'm all about sustainable results, doing it in a way that is in integrity. And, that's going to require dropping some of the stuff that you've been taught and, testing some of the things that that you can do. They just need to be built out. And so, that's when you decide that you're not going to go cookie cutter in your company anymore, that you're going to build your own thing. That's really when the magic starts to happen and more growth, more sales with ease, more money, all of that is achieved. I hope you enjoyed this live stream. Let me know what your top takeaways were. And until next time, this is Celia Faye Meisel. And remember, you can book that call with me at moremethod.info.